This video is on color psychology in character design. Colors used in design have subconscious associations because of where we see them in our environments. Colors should be used thoughtfully in design, especially on characters, but even on items like fictional firearms. If you're familiar with my channel, you may be asking yourself, haven't I done this before? Yes, I have. I'm doing it again because I know I can do a better job. I do have to clarify quickly. People confuse the terms color psychology with color theory because they do sound quite similar. Color theory is how our brains perceive colors and shades differently depending on lighting scenarios in a scene from a show or a movie or in real life. You can get instances where an image looks like it has a color in it, but when you take a look at the pixel that made it up, that color isn't present. But your brain fills in the gaps using context clues, as well as sometimes your brain knows what something should look like in different lighting conditions, which is how the blue, white, black, and gold dress conundrum happened. This video is on color psychology, the emotional links we have to certain colors, used in character design, also called color science. We'll go over the associations of the base colors of the rainbow, cover some quick tips to do with attention and saturation, then go over some unique schemes and other things by the end of this. I'll have a quick spoiler list go by, then followed by a montage. This video also has timestamps. I hope you guys enjoy. With that, let's get started.
This party's getting crazy. Let's rock.
It's almost magic. Lost in translation. Moving mountains. You and I. Caught in the middle. Like in the 2000s. We were dancing. You and I. Can you love a little longer? It's a little stronger. Giving into my own device. Even for the moment, all the right components. Handle me with care in this life. Maybe nothing lasts forever. That is so much greater. Knowing we were sharing this time. We'll find each other later and see it through together. We can live it out again twice. I am a fool.
Don't you dare say it's the jackpot.
Look at it. It's not pink. It's like a lightish red. Guess what? They already have a color for lightish red. You know what it's called? Pink. I hate you guys.
I don't want you guys to think of colors with these hard labels. Some people have names for every shade, like a paint store, while others simplify to base qualities. You need to think from more of a mechanical standpoint, so the latter in most cases, as it makes things more simple. Colors are made of 3 different properties in most digital softwares. Hue, the primary wavelength of the color. Tone or value, the amount of lightness or darkness in a color. Saturation, the amount of hue present in the color. Mixing these different qualities gives you a hexadecimal code in a digital program. For example, a low in value red is burgundy, and a low in saturation red is pink. Another one is that a slightly desaturated and quite devalued orange ends up becoming brown. I'll also cover colors that sit in between the main groupings of how we understand them, because they have names and they're useful to know. As well as when you start blending the hues, it blends the association of the colors. When red and purple are mixed together, you get fuchsia. When you mix purple and blue together, you get violet or periwinkle. When you mix blue and green together, you get teal or aquamarine. When you mix green and yellow together, you get chartreuse. When you mix yellow and orange, you get amber. When you mix orange and red, you get vermilion.
All or nothing.
We do have some associations with characters' temperament and their palette. Typically, the more vibrant and saturated a palette is, the more extroverted a character is made to be. So introverts and quieter people typically have darker tones and values in their schemes. Extroverts are usually given warmer colors, but not always. Compare Zuko to Azula. Zuko's scheme is far darker tonally compared to his sister. He's far more introverted compared to his sibling.
That one kind of felt hot. Don't patronize me. You know what it's supposed to look like.
Sorry, Sifu Hotman.
And stop calling me that.
Lots of the time, evil characters are given overall darker palettes, while the good guys are given brighter palettes.
Sheep.
As well as making a color paler usually moves the association of the hue to a morally good area, such as a baby blue compared to navy. Baby blue is a bit more friendly looking.
What's that arm squeeze about?
You want one? Here.
Fuck off.
An important idea to take note of is the concept of the 60-30-10 rule, a concept where a character has hues comprised of those percentages over their palette, sometimes given about 2 highlight colors to help break up parts of a design and add detail. You don't always have to follow the rule to a T, but it ends up being a satisfying composition of shades to look at. Sometimes characters are only given a primary and a secondary, but you shouldn't be adding like 8 different highlight colors, that just makes things messy. In character design, attention should be drawn to the face in basically every case, since humans have a natural draw to faces. We even have a specific part of our brain dedicated to identifying and separating faces, known as the facial fusiform area. People who lack development in that part of the brain, or who've had it damaged, typically have prosopagnosia. The main way to do this is by having a value gradient go up to the character's face if the character is wearing basic clothing. So dark at the bottom and then light at the top. If the character has a darker complexion, you can put them in a way brighter shirt so that their skin tone contrasts well to the fabric. That's why people with pale skin and dark hair, as well as people with dark skin and pale hair, work quite well in design. Their faces have a natural pop in value, which the contrast draws you to their face. People with darker complexions typically work quite a bit better with highly saturated colors, so make use of that. There is a bit of a matter with paler Caucasians though. Depending on the colors you pair with them, they can end up looking ill or sick, like with many paler shades of green, red, and orange, unless that's what you want to convey with the character. Then go ahead. Another thing with complexions is that they can sometimes play a role in a character's palette, like Blonde Blazer's hair contributing to the yellow of her scheme, Karlach's red skin contributing to hers, or Be'lakor in Warhammer having yellow eyes to match his gold.
I am going to destroy them. They will waste their last breath cursing your name.
Another idea for attention is if the character has something specific you want to stand out, which happens a lot in hero shooters, or a character has a color or item you want focus to be put on. So a color on them you want to be the most noticeable even though it may not be the primary color, such as Ramatra having his bright purple stand out the most in his scheme, so you look to his staff first, because the rest of his scheme is quite desaturated and without color. Or a specific color or article of clothing is the most noticeable, like David from Cyberpunk Edgerunners having a bright yellow jacket that takes all of your attention. So the jacket both links him to the associations of yellow, which I'll get to, as well as it was his mother's jacket, so the attention to that piece of clothing has a double function there. You can also look at Tracer in Overwatch, where the white bits on her are surrounded by darker tones. Even her legs have parts that have a darker orange color before her feet and her chest, as well as her sleeves are darker when rolled up. Those value contrasts draw you to those aspects of her even more, even in black and white. Just as a side note, you should have a decent variety of value on your design. If everything on a design is too similar in value, things start to blend together and look rather bland. It's also important to note that the material a color is used on will change its interpretation in most cases, as well as many materials in the real world are typically made from certain hues. Granted, you can kind of dye or color any material to be whatever you want. Leathers are typically warmer hues and sometimes black, depending on what's needed of the character. Steel, iron, and most basic metals are made of blues, sometimes closer to violet for stylistic choices. Jeans are typically blue or black. Another thing to take note of is that if you're making a character in a suit, the belt matches the shoes to a large degree. With that done, we can actually get started with the color psychology portion of this video.
This is a bucket.
Dear God.
There's more.
No.
I am Apollyon. I bring war.
Black is the color of shadows and the night. The good of black is that it hides stains well, it's more practical when compared to white, and it hides in the dark well. It's a well-traveled color. It's not afraid to get dirty.
Get this thing off of me!
The bad of black is that it's ominous and dubious. It can hide in the shadows well. It's good at concealing stuff, even within a silhouette. But if you have something to hide, maybe a character isn't the most trustworthy.
May I? Chief Hiccup? Do I say Chief Hiccup? Or do I call you Hiccup? What do you prefer?
won't leave. We'll be forced to.
White is the color of purity. The good of white is that it's pure, angelic, and a material that takes a lot of care to keep clean and stain-free. Therefore, it's not the most practical.
Are you out of your mind?
The bad of white, since it stains so easily, it's kind of high and mighty. It doesn't always want to get its hands dirty. It's a bit narcissistic and holier than that, a bit apathetic to whatever you're going through.
I told you I knew someone.
Well, you didn't say they were from the Undercity.
What difference does that make?
What They're dangerous.
I'm from the Undercity. You're right.
Lots of characters will use varying shades of black and white to break up detail. Some characters will use a gray metallic, which is what most silver or steel is kind of close to. It does make sense for some characters to have either black or white in their scheme depending on what you want to convey, such as Gogo having a black undersuit, which contrasts well to her yellow plating, as well as she's a bit more introverted and closed off. Or Ciri having a white shirt to link her back to being a pure chosen one that's a bit more extroverted, as well as linking her back to a swallow.
Feel bad. Good. Fuck you.
Purple is the color of the arts and toxins, things that are really pretty to look at because they're a bit more rare. Sometimes it's present on things to signal danger through evolution. The good of purple, it's unique and one of a kind. It's typically associated with the arts, wealth, and royalty, things that are a bit more in touch with the feminine, so not super physically capable or hands-on.
The numbers are in, and you are out.
Well, that makes no sense, you idiot.
It's sometimes associated with love and compassion, but not fully. You typically have to get closer to fuchsia to get that association. The bad of purple, it's too wealthy, so that it ends up being corrupt or narcissistic. It can be poisonous or venomous, toxic in short, things that can impede your health over time or disrupt whatever you're doing. It's also morally dubious, like it may stab you in the back if you give it the opportunity, but it often won't attack you face to face.
Relájate, I'm not going to kill you. I mean, I'm the one that set off the alarm.
It'll sneak around, speak in half-truths, and be very coy with you. In short, when you interpret the negative aspects of purple from a character, the last thing you should think of is trustworthy. If you interpret the good of purple, it should come off as unique.
Whoa. You're not going to shoot me, are you? If you do, I'll die. You know?
Then what do I do?
I only know how to make swords. Each morning I start a fire and begin again.
Blue is the color of the ocean and the sky, things that are a constant and unmoving presence in our lives. The good of blue, it's calm, typically less prone to emotional outbursts, quite logical when talked to or reasoned with, and it's quite stable, therefore it's reliable. It's quite constant and unchanging in terms of temperament.
She needs a full psychiatric workup.
She's not the only one.
Lock it down, both of you.
The bad of blue. Sometimes it's too cold and logical to the point of sociopathy and apathy. It couldn't care less about what you're doing. Like purple, it can be quite self-centered or self-serving, but without the emotional outbursts and instead relying on logistics to get them ahead. It's the color of cold and detached computation.
No more injustice! No humanity.
You are very evil.
Agree to disagree.
Even if a character is on the side of good, if a character is given a color like navy blue, they're going to be quite emotionally unreactive. They're absolutely not neurotic.
Are you okay?
Me? I feel like $1 million.
It's sometimes hard to get a smile out of a character associated with navy. If you start crying in front of them, it's highly unlikely they'll know how to comfort you. Blue is also used as the color to represent sadness. Think of Picasso's Blue Period, for example.
Thanks for the tank. He never gets me anything.
Oh, I know what the ladies like.
Green is the color of natural things. Things that surround us and breathe life into our world, found all throughout nature. The good of green. It's reliable, pretty safe, community and family oriented. It's sometimes a bit more meek, like it won't purposefully step on your toes or burst out in anger. It's very much other oriented in most cases.
I know you're nervous, Finn. The team's got your back, okay?
Yes, sir. I'll give this everything I've got.
It's concerned with the well-being of others. Depending on the hue and saturation, it's also used in the military since it blends in with natural environments and landscapes.
I'm not crippled! Put me down!
The bad of green. Sometimes it's too meek and shy. It's also associated sometimes with toxins like purple, illness, and plagues. Just like the natural world can become infected, so can a character's personality. So it's sometimes thrown onto morally evil characters.
Don't you have something better to do?
Why, yes, I do.
Green is often used as the color of disgust or greed. It's like a corrupt nature. That's why the sick emoji is green and not some other color. It wouldn't make sense.
I think we should go to another...
Stuff that starts to decay and rot, but it's not going to do so in any timely manner. Green is not a speed-invoking color in most cases.
These are not the bad guys.
Why did you cut the door?
What? No, I didn't. That wasn't. It was already like that, right?
Yes, that's right. Yes. It was. Yeah, it was already like. Yeah, it was already like.
Yellow is the color of the sun and youth, things that bring energy in our day-to-day life. It's also seen on some daisies, which invoke spring, rebirth, and youth. The good of yellow: it's energetic, it's youthful, it's curious, and it's kind. It's coming in, grinning ear to ear. It's happy to be here. It's maybe a bit simple, naive, and gullible, but that's okay, because they likely have no ill intent behind their actions. It's a pure and wholesome color. The bad of yellow: it's too naive to the point of stupidity. It's too innocent to where yellow is used as the color of cowardice.
Trial by combat, right now. What? Fight you? That's not a trial. That's an execution.
When the going gets tough, they may start running in the other direction. It's typically an untouched color. A character heavily associated with yellow likely hasn't experienced the horrors of war, or if they have, they've remained steadfast and optimistic in the face of that adversity. Like I mentioned earlier, when made a metallic, it turns into gold. When used as a trim or not the primary color, it starts to express the good and bad qualities of wealth, which I'll get to later. If yellow is put onto technology, it can give off the impression that it's cheaply made, or like the early version of something, like a prototype.
It's the prototype suit. But who the hell's driving it?
Goes to Hades Core.
Fall back immediately. Ignore the Covenant.
I'll hold them off.
Orange is the color of wild change, seen in the leaves during the fall, hot metal during smithing, fire, and explosions. Things associated with a lot of potential change, but dangerous if left unchecked. The good of orange: it's energetic. It's associated with building and construction. You see this color used frequently on characters like engineers or explosive experts.
I solve practical problems.
It's maybe a bit too loud. It's sometimes boisterous. Characters associated with orange sometimes go through great change metaphorically or literally. It's also kinda stubborn. Their head may be kinda full of rocks in terms of this character. The bad of orange: it's too boisterous to where it gets kind of annoying. It's in your face and you want it to shut up. Sometimes it's so energetic and acts without thinking that it's really headstrong to the point where it's like a bowl in a china shop. It does stuff without any forethought.
Really heavy.
Really? Thank you.
So when it's evil, there's a simple brute force to it. It's pretty hard to get a character that's associated with orange to change their mind.
You think me some keening fishwife, yearning for a child? You have nothing to offer me but your head.
I should have saved you.
I should have been the one to fill your dark soul with light!
Red is the color of blood and passion. Found in wine, blushing cheeks, roses, and of course, blood.
I think you may have a collapsed lung. That always impedes the oratory.
Things that get our hearts pumping. Studies have found our heart rates and blood pressures rise a bit when looking at predominantly red images. Women's lips and cheeks also tend to get a bit rosier when it's a more fertile time of their life, which red lipstick is supposed to emulate. We also neurologically become more alert at the sight of blood. I think you can understand why. We do this as an evolutionary response to help get us going in more ways than one, depending on the scenario.
Seduce me.
You.
Seduce me.
What? Spy, I ain't gonna
Seduce me!
Right.
The good of red: it's passionate, caring, loving, and fierce. It's not afraid to fight for what it loves. It's pretty hands-on because of it.
We are the sons of Sparta. Within each of us flows his blood.
The Bat of Red. It's a sign of danger. It has the energy of orange, but the capability to hurt you of purple. If it's coming for you, it's coming at you head on.
Appreciate that.
It has a more primal danger associated with it. Another quality is that it typically acts before thinking things through, which has good and bad qualities associated with it. So when red's present, it means someone's about to have a very good time or a very bad time.
You know I walk. You'll walk with a limp.
Lots of alarms and warning signs are in bright red because they draw our attention first. That's why exploding barrels in most media are typically red. Warmer tones on the whole make us feel a bit more energized and hasty, while cooler colors typically slow our thinking down. You'll see a lot of fast food companies will use warmer tones in their logos and advertising, while companies like banks and firms will typically resort to greens and blues.
Bad boy, 17. What the fuck, man?
Earthy tones are the colors of practicality. The good of these tones, since it's typically found on leathers and dirt, it's very practical and reliable. It's going to get the job done without making a big fuss about it. It's also very hands-on and physical. It's not afraid of getting dirty. The bad of these tones really boils down to being so practical that it gets kind of boring and bland, especially when it's the most noticeable color. It's like, that's it? There's nothing else going on?
Old Drunkle's out. Time to do what I do best.
Oh, please.
It's kind of like oatmeal. It gets the job done, but it's not that super interesting. As a side note, lots of earthy tones and variations of black and gray, sometimes white, are used to break up designs and add detail, but they can also be used as main colors too.
He opens the door this much, there's a chain right there. I slip him in and snip, and guess what? It's not the pizza guy.
Jordy, the problem. Let's deal with it.
There are different color wheels to use in design, but when using a typical color wheel, hues have opposites, also known as complementary colors, which can be used for specific reasons in design. Red and green are opposites, vermilion and teal are opposites, blue and orange are opposites, violet and amber are opposites, purple and yellow are opposites, fuchsia and chartreuse are opposites. The opposites do share similarities in what they represent, so you can use these within a scheme or across characters. Red and green are connected to selfishness and selflessness. They're either caring and passionate about those around them, selfless, or they're focused on emotions that deal with themselves, selfish. Anger and greed are wholly selfish emotions in most cases. It's the idea that I value myself more than you and I'm willing to take some action to affirm that thought, through either stealing or violence. Blue and orange are rather consistent in terms of personality traits. Think of it like consistently consistent or consistently inconsistent. Someone who's orange is pretty hard to change personality-wise from being brash, boastful, and stubborn, like an unstoppable force, and a character given blue is hard to change from being analytical and detached, like an immovable object. Yellow and purple are pure colors, typically linked back to the apex of youth or the apex of maturity. They're typically quite idealistic because of it. It's hard for a mature character to be fully associated with yellow as it's too innocent to a degree, while it's harder for a young character to be associated with purple as it's associated with learned mischievousness that comes from time and experience in most cases. How opposite colors can draw attention. Like I mentioned earlier, attention can be drawn to specific parts of characters by using complementary colors and altering values and saturation. We can use Graves from Deadlock, Isaac from Dead Space, and Geralt from The Witcher as examples. Graves has a very dark red jacket that blends in with the low values of her black, which creates a harsh contrast with her shirt and necklace, but that's another thing entirely. The arm she's holding, as well as her irises, are a bright green or chartreuse. When colors are glowing, they tend to change hue a bit. Since the jacket is far away in tone from the glowing effect, the opposite colors bring you to those aspects of her design, as well as the green is associated with a necrotic-based playstyle. Isaac's suit is a dark orange and his lights are close to teal. The hues aren't perfect opposites, but the complementary effect is still there. Since his suit is so dark and out of the way, you're drawn to the glowing bits on his back even more. Since it doubles as his in-game HUD, it serves a purpose that way. As well as the guns he holds are typically brighter than him, so those also contrast well against his suit. Geralt has yellow irises and purple flesh around his eyes. The purple is quite dark compared to the almost glowing look of his eyes. Therefore, you want to look at his eyes, which have cat irises too, so they don't look human. So the attention drawn to his eyes is warranted, since his mutations are a part of who this Witcher is.
You will fumble the proposition of my quest.
Now we'll go over some unique schemes or color combinations that convey specific ideas. A quick way to convey that a character is the protagonist is to use a noticeable amount of blue, yellow, and red, the primary colors. You can mess around with the value and saturation of the colors, as well as which ones are the primary, secondary, or tertiary, to better suit the character while still conveying the idea that they're the protagonist. Wealth. Wealth is typically represented with shades of white, red, purple, violet, black, and yellow trim, frequently used as a gold material. Typically, you need 2 or more of these colors present in a scheme for the idea of wealth to come through properly. Using 3 of them definitely solidifies the idea. The important thing to know about wealth is that its interpretation is like a spectrum. On one end of it,
it is soft hands, brother.
It's very hands-off and typically more conniving. It sometimes comes off like the character would cry if you slap them too hard. The other end of it is very much an earned status, so the character likely clawed tooth and nail to get where they are. They think they're worth more than others, so the reaction to confrontation goes more like,
"Check this shit out, nigga!"
Fatality. Shao Kahn wins.
I hope that makes sense. Then if you dedicate a scheme to almost entirely white and yellow, it kind of represents the apex of youth and innocence. It's a very virgin color palette, for lack of a better term.
Did anyone order me?
Magic and technology, made of shades of blue, pink, purple, and sometimes a lean towards a mint or teal color. Like I said, these often represent advanced tech or magic in many cases, but magic typically drops the green or teal. Wind and ice, made of shades of white, blue, and teal. You typically need 2 of these shades to convey that a character is connected to cold weather in terms of playstyle or personality. Electricity, made of shades of blue, violet, and yellow. So characters given these shades are usually associated with electricity. It usually isn't any significant variation away from these pure hues. It stays pretty static.
Alright, time to kick some ass.
The medical field. The primary color is typically white and paired with shades of teal, red, blue, and on occasion, green. You should use 2 or more of these colors to get the idea across. The white stains very easily, so it's easy to tell if something is going wrong. But the teal color is seen often in tech or medical fields, professions that take a lot of academic skill to get into, so there's a bit of an intellectual lean with that color. Then the red and green are chosen a lot in games and media to represent health and healing.
Oh, sweet.
The blue comes off as logical and reliable. These colors work well together to represent the medical field, but I'd recommend not really going past 3 of these colors if need be. Acids, poisons, and toxins, made of fully saturated greens, purples, and sometimes yellow. You typically have to put at least 2 of these colors in a noticeable amount in a scheme as a warning sign sometimes. Making one or both of these colors very vibrant really gets the idea across of toxicity, because things in the world evolve to be that noticeable, so you look at them first, to both tell you where they are as well as to strike you as odd. It's like a button having "Don't touch me" written above it. You want to touch it, but you also don't want to touch it, but its presence is noteworthy. You looked at it regardless. Evil and unnatural. This one is pretty similar to the previous, but differs by incorporating orange instead of yellow. When the primary color is purple in the scheme, whatever this character is, feels like it shouldn't exist. This palette almost looks wrong because of how out of place it looks. It's a combination of colors that you'd basically never see in the real world. This scheme can work well on characters, but I highly recommend not using it for personal styling in the real world.
Who's got a camera? Ooh, get one of me and the kid first. Then you and me, then the 3 of us, and then one with the crowbar. Then...
Big evil scheme, made of a dominant black, paired with red, sometimes purple, and sometimes some silver accents and occasionally gold for the hell of it. All of that black comes off as very ominous with a hint of danger. It's quite simple, but it gets the job done. Sometimes paired with an extra color to get across different ideas.
Someone get me a cortado.
Coffee machine's only putting out decaf, sir.
What?
An earthy palette, made of shades of brown, beige, greens, teals, and yellows. This palette is literally and metaphorically down to earth. It's quite reliable and safe to be around. It's likely physically capable, but doesn't always want to make use of that aspect. They're like a moss-covered log on the forest ground. It may not be the most comfortable to lean on or sit on at first, but it's a great spot to watch the deer graze from.
Hello?
Naval Police Calm Leadership, made of a primary of blue with an accent of yellow. The character is quite stable and likely carries themselves with authority if the color is a gold on them. It's reliable, but depending on the vibrance of the blue, it can determine how outwardly friendly the character is. If the colors are found on normal cloth, it sometimes gives off the impression of a stable person with a naive, simple, or innocent worldview. Like they refuse to change, despite their environment giving them signals to switch it up.
We have these things called doors that normal people use all the time. You should try them.
We also have these things called Viltrumites. You should try winning a fight against them sometime.
Okay, too soon, Cecil.
Reasonable passion. Large amounts of red and blue. It signifies that a character is quite passionate but also level-headed when needed. What you want to focus on depends on the saturation and value of the colors, as well as if it's the primary, secondary, or tertiary color.
This universe, no matter how vast, will never be big enough for you and I to coexist.
With all that said and done, I hope you guys make good use of this information. You'll also start to notice that lots of characters in fiction will start to share palettes, because there's only so many ways you can visually convey an idea to a viewer. A fun fact about colors and languages. There's a consistent pattern to what colors get labeled first as humans develop languages. The first is almost always red, the second is usually black, then it's white, and then it's blue or green, and then it's all the other colors afterward. And with that, that is the end of color psychology and character design. I hope you learned something. A like or subscription would mean a lot. Take care.